Good morning. I'm Dr. Wilson Paul, Associate Professor, Department of Corporate Secretariat of KCS Kasaragod College of Arts and Science. Now, I'm going to handle the third semester subject named Corporate Accounting 1, in that the chapter named Profit Prior to Incorporation. Here, the word profit prior to incorporation means it is a profit that is earned before the incorporation. Prior means before. Incorporation means starting of a company. Here, is it possible to earn a profit before the starting of a company? That is the question here. Let us analyze how it is done. A running business may be acquired by another firm. It is possible. Next, if one company is acquired by the business of another company, it is called absorption. I'll repeat. A company is absorbed by another company, it is called absorption. On the other hand, if the running business of a sole trader or partnership firm is taken over or purchased by a company, it is called acquisition. Here, the acquiring company may be an existing company or a newly started company. The later case, the accounting problem of the ascertained profit or loss prior to incorporation arises. Now, in majority of the cases, the sole trader or a partnership firm is always converted into a company, a limited company, at the time of expanding the business. So, when the sole trader or partnership firm, they want to expand the business, in that case, they'll convert themselves into a limited company, for which they'll apply to the company law board and get a permission. Then, once they receive the permission, they can start the activities that are related to the company. For example, they can appoint more staff. They'll expand the business. They'll purchase more raw materials. Everything. They do the expansion work. Till that date, till the permission is acquired, they'll run the business as a sole trader or partnership. Okay. Now, while calculating, there will be certain expenses which are incurred before the commencement of a company. There are certain expenses incurred after the commencement of a company. But at the end of the year, the company wants to know what is the expenses that are incurred before the commencement, before the starting of a company, and what are the expenses that are incurred after the starting of a company. So during the year, during the course of the year. The same way, the income also, the company wants to know what is the profit that is earned by the sole trader or partnership, that is before the starting of a company. On the other hand, they also want to know what is the profit income that is really earned by the company after the starting of it. For which case, they'll prepare the final accounts at the end of the year, and they will split the final accounts into two parts, before incorporation and after incorporation, which means they'll do the P&L work, not the trading account. They'll do the profit and loss account in two columns, or they'll split all the expenses. They'll split all the expenses and income accordingly that are related to the pre-incorporation, that are related to the post-incorporation, that is after the incorporation. For which case, we have to find what is the time ratio and what is the sales ratio first. First of all, what is the time ratio? The time ratio tells you it is a date from starting date to the incorporation date, and from the incorporation date to the closing date, that is accounting year closing date. The first date from the starting of the accounting year, I'll repeat, from the starting of the accounting year to the incorporation date. Then from the incorporation date to the closing of the accounting year. So these are the 3 dates. I'll repeat, the 3 dates are the accounting year beginning, the incorporation date, the closing of accounting year. So these 3 dates are involved for calculating the time ratio. First, we will see with an example. For example, a Ganesh Limited was incorporated on 1st May 1996 to purchase the running business of Vinayak and Co. with effect from 1st January 1996. The company obtained the certificate of commencement of business on 24th August 1996. This commencement of business date is not relevant to this problem. We'll ignore that for the time being. Calculate the time ratio if the accounts are closed on 31st December 1996. This is the sum. So in this case, there are 3 dates. We need the 3 dates. The first date, the incorporation date, as well as accounting year closing date. The first date, which is the opening date of the accounting year, is 1st January 1996. It is that was what was given in the sum. Then the incorporation date, which is given as 1st May 1996. Then the closing date, the closing date means the closing of the accounting year is given as 31st December 1996. So now from 1st January 1996 to 1st May 1996, how many months were there? We have to calculate. January, February, March, April. May cannot be taken into account because the 1st May, it says it is the 1st May, it is not the 31st May. It is the 1st May, which means the first 4 months. It was running as a sole trader or proprietor concern. Then once they got the permission from the company law board, from the 1st May, they converted themselves into a company and they run their business for the next 8 months in a year. For example, there is a 12 months in a year. The first 4 months, they were running the business as a sole trader or the proprietor or partnership because they didn't get a permission to do so. Next, once they got the permission, that is the incorporation date on 1st May 1996, they started to do business as a company form, which means in the accounting year, the remaining 8 months, they were working as a company form. Okay, we'll go to the next slide now. Now, it is a continuation of the previous slide. The first date we saw it is 1st January 1996. The incorporation date is 1st May 1996. The closing accounting date is 31st December 1996. To find the time ratio, the 3 dates are important. The opening date, 1st January, to the date of incorporation, 1st May 1996. There are 4 months. The same way, from the incorporation date, 1st May 1996, to the accounting closing date is 31st December 1996. It is 8 months, which means the first 4 months they were running the business as a sole trader in a year. The remaining 8 months they were running the business as a company form because they got the certificate of incorporation. Therefore, the time ratio will be 4 months, 8 months. That is 1:2. Therefore, the time ratio is 1:2. I'll go to the next slide now. Now, let us see another example. The sum. Arumugam, a sole trader, decided to convert his business into a limited company. From the following relevant dates, you are required to compute the time ratio for the purpose ascertaining profit prior to incorporation. The dates given here are the date of sale of business to the company is 31st December 1994, which means they sold the sole trader, the proprietor, they sold the business to the company on 31st December, waiting to get a permission to convert them into a company. The date of obtaining the certificate of incorporation is 1/5/1995, which means after 4 months delay, they got the certificate of incorporation on 1st May. Then, date of obtaining certificate of commencement of the business, that is 16/7/1995. That is relevant actually. When you are given a date of commencement of business, please ignore the date. That is not at all useful for you in working out the sum. Just forget the date. Now, the last date, the third date is your date of finalizing the accounts of the company, 30th September 1995. Okay, from the data given here, it is clear the company, the accounting year is not extended to 12 months in a year, but it is restricted to 9 months in a year. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now we will work out the answer now. The important 3 dates as we stated earlier. The first date, what is the first date here is 1st January 1995 or 31st December 1994. Both are the same. There's no difference in there. Then the second date is your incorporation date. That is your 1st May 1995. Then your third date, that is the date of closing of accounts. That is 30th September. Here the problem says it is closed on 30th September, not on 31st December, unlike the previous case. Okay. Now, so in total, the company is working only for 9 months. The accounting is only for 9 months. Now, out of these 9 months, how many months it was running as a sole trader and partnership? Then how many months it was working as a company form? That's what we're going to see here. From the first date to the incorporation date, that is 1/1/1995 to 1/5/1995, there are 4 months gap. Then the second date to third date, that is from 1/5/1995 to 30th September 1995, it is only 5 months. It is not 8 months. It is wrongly written there. It is 5 months. Therefore, the time ratio will be 4:5 months. That is 4:5, which means the 4 months they are running the business as a sole trader. The 5 months they are running the business as a company form. Is it clear how to find the time ratio? Now we'll go to the next slide. Now let us see the third illustration, a third example, a third sum. Here in this sum, you are required to calculate the time ratio for the pre and post incorporation period from the following particulars. Also divide the total wages between pre and post incorporation periods. The first one is given the sum. The date of incorporation is 1st June 1999. Then the period of financial accounts is April 1999 to March 2000. Now, which means once you say it is April, it starts always from 1st April. Once you say it is March, it always ends in 31st March. Okay. Then the total wages paid by the company, the business, is 4,800 rupees for the 12-month period, for the full accounting year. Number of workers pre-incorporation period were 5 workers. Number of workers in the post-incorporation period were 25 workers. Here, the pre-incorporation period means when the sole trader or partnership is running the business. So when the sole trader and partnership were running the business, there are only 5 workers in that office. Once they got the permission from the company law board and they converted the business into company after the incorporation, they added more number of workers to the company, which means they increased the workers strength to 25 workers. Okay, now is it clear? Now we'll go to the answer now. As usual, let us first find the time ratio. Again, 3 dates are important to find time ratio. The first date, 1/4/1999, the beginning of the accounting year. The second date, the incorporation date, 1st June 1999. Then third date, 31st March 2000, the accounting year closing date. Now, as I said earlier, from first date to the second date, there are only 2 months are there. Then again, from the second date to the accounting year closing date, that is 31st March, there are only 10 months are there, which means the time ratio were 2:10. That is, for 2 months, they were running the business as a sole trader or partnership firm. They got the permission to incorporate it as a company on the 3rd month, which means in the accounting year, out of 12 months, 2 months they were running as sole trader and partnership. The remaining 10 months they were running as a company. Therefore, the time ratio will be 2:10 or 1:5. So that is your time ratio. Now, how to calculate the wages in this particular period? Well, that we'll see in the next slide. Now we'll see how to calculate the wages for pre-incorporation period and post-incorporation period. Now we already know what is the time ratio, that is 1:5, that is 2 months and 10 months. Now the question arises here, how many workers were there in the pre-incorporation period, that is when the business was running it in the name of sole trade and partnership for 2 months. Then when the business is running in a company form for 10 months, how many workers were there? For the first 2 months, there were only 5 workers. Therefore, we multiply them with the month and the workers together. Therefore, 2 into 5 will give you 10. Then, the same way, for 10 workers, for 10 months, for the next 10 months, that is, there were 25 workers in the company, which means for 10 months, 25 workers, we multiply 10 into 25, will give you 250, which means, therefore, the weighted time ratio will be 10:250. In other words, 1:25. Therefore, the weighted time ratio is 1:25. Now, we'll see how the amount is calculated and how the amount is divided in the next slide. It is a continuation from the previous slide. It is the third sum. It is yet to finish the third sum. Now, the wages that is given, the sum is 4,800 rupees, which is paid for the whole year. Now, we are going to split these wages of 4,800 into 2 parts. That is, for 2 months, how much is the 2 months expenses, how much is the 10 months expenses. Okay, but we can't do the time ratio here since the number of workers is different. For the 2 months, there were only 5 workers. For the 10 months, there were 25 workers. Suppose if the workers remain the workers count remains the same. For 2 months, there were 5 workers. For 10 months also, there were 5 workers. Then there's no need for you to multiply the workers with the number of month, as we did in the previous slide. Since there is a difference in the count of the employees or workers, that is for 2 months, there were only 5 workers. For the 10 months, there were 25 workers. Therefore, we multiply them and we got the ratio 10:250. Now, we have to calculate the amount of 4,800 into 10 by 260 will give you 184 rupees. That is the wages paid for the pre-incorporation period. That is when it was running the business as a sole trade and partnership. Then the remaining amount, that is 4,800 into 250 by 260 will give you 4,615, which means out of the total 4,800 rupees, 184 rupees is paid in the pre-incorporation period. 4,615 is paid in the post-incorporation period. That is 184 rupees for the 2 months and 4,650 is in the 10 months period. So I hope you understood this calculation of weighted time ratio and dividing the salary or wages in this weighted time ratio. Okay, we'll continue in the next slide, in the next section. Thank you.